The NBA is boiling with trades that promise to change the game, but behind the official narrative, there is a truth no one told you. While you watch the highlights and celebrate the blockbuster arrivals, the behind-the-scenes reality reveals a completely different story. James Harden's departure from the Clippers, presented as an amicable agreement, hides a much bigger and far more calculated plan. Think about it. When was the last time a player of Harden's caliber left a franchise to join a direct rival without any drama, without any controversy, without explosive statements? Exactly. That simply does not happen in the real world of the NBA. Does the pursuit of a championship justify the secret confessions whispered behind closed doors? Or is there something much deeper happening in the shadows of Los Angeles front offices? Today, we are going to dismantle the official narrative and reveal what is truly at stake in a move that could redefine the future of multiple franchises. Get ready, because the truth is always more interesting than the version they want you to believe. The curtain opened in an almost theatrical way. James Harden, still at the peak of his technical ability at 36 years old, was traded from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And what was the official version sold to you by the media? An amicable pursuit of his first ring, a seasoned veteran who, without public drama, decided to follow his dream of winning a championship before it's too late. A beautiful, almost romantic narrative of a player who puts personal goals above everything else, but always respecting the organization that welcomed him. The story continues. Everything was done to not compromise the Clippers' future. What a noble gesture, right? Harden, the villain of so many other sagas, now turns into a symbol of professionalism and maturity. But stop and think with me for a moment. A high-level player, still capable of averaging 20 points and 10 assists, leaving amicably to strengthen a direct rival in the East, without a single ounce of resistance from the franchise, without prolonged negotiations, without that traditional dance between agent, team, and player. That doesn't make sense. In the modern NBA, where every move is calculated down to the smallest detail, where contracts are worth hundreds of millions and egos compete with strategies, nothing happens out of friendship. When LeBron left Cleveland for the first time, it was a nationally televised event. When Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, the internet nearly imploded. When Kawhi Leonard forced his way out of the Spurs, it was a months-long saga. But Harden? Silence. A quick agreement. A smooth transition. Should we really believe this version? Let's talk about the truth behind this supposed friendship. By acquiring Darius Garland in this deal, the Clippers are not merely seeking rejuvenation of the roster or that famous salary flexibility that every general manager loves to mention in press conferences. This trade is, in reality, a public confession of a medium-term rebuild. They sacrificed a veteran with immediate impact, a player who could help them right now, in order to realign their finances and secure future draft picks. Translated, the Clippers are silently admitting that the cycle with James Harden would not lead to a championship, that the window of opportunity with the current roster was already closed, that going all in on this group would be a waste of precious resources, but they can't say that openly, can they? Imagine Steve Ballmer stepping onto a stage and declaring, "Guys, this team isn't winning anything, so we're tearing it down." The fan backlash would be immediate. The franchise's credibility would collapse. So what's the solution? Create an alternative narrative. Turn a cold business decision into an act of compassion. Make it seem like they are helping Harden fulfill his dream, when in reality, they are executing a long-term strategic plan. The friendship was merely the varnish, the superficial layer of golden paint applied over a purely calculated management decision. It's marketing, it's public relations, it's narrative control, and Garland. He becomes the centerpiece of this disguised rebuild. Young, talented, with a controllable contract, exactly the type of asset you want when you're starting over, without admitting that you're starting over. The Clippers are playing chess while they want you to think they're playing checkers. And since we're talking about narratives and moves that redefine franchises, we can't ignore the echo of the trade of the century that still reverberates throughout the league. Remember the bomb that literally shook the NBA exactly 1 year ago? Luka Doncic to the Lakers, Anthony Davis to the Mavericks. It was the trade no one believed was possible until the moment it became official. Luka Doncic became the new face of the Lakers, drastically reducing the dependence on LeBron James and, in theory, securing the future of the most famous franchise in basketball. The Los Angeles media treated it as if it were the second coming of Magic Johnson. But let's look at the facts 1 year later. Despite all of Doncic's individual brilliance, despite nights of 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 12 assists, the Lakers are still stuck in mediocrity. they still haven't managed to build a roster that truly complements the Slovenian star's talent. This trade, which once seemed like a masterstroke of Rob Pelinka's genius, now reveals a harsh reality. Having a superstar is not enough. You need to build a system around them, attract the right pieces, and develop the necessary chemistry. And that is the lesson the Clippers learned by watching the Lakers. That is the lesson that motivated Harden's amicable departure. Because what's the point of having big names if the puzzle doesn't fit together? So here is the raw truth that no one wants to admit publicly. James Harden's amicable exit was not a blessing for the player. It was not an altruistic gesture by the Clippers. It was the revelation of a secret plan they had hidden for months. They simply no longer believed in the roster assembled to win now. By accepting and even facilitating a problem-free exit, by not creating obstacles, by not demanding absurd compensation, they confessed something fundamental. The real objective was something else. It was to clean up the payroll. It was to free up space to bet on an uncertain future. It was to begin a rebuild without using that forbidden word. They disguised an inevitable restructuring as a gesture of goodwill. They turned a purely business-driven decision into a story of mutual respect and shared goals. And you know what the most brilliant part is? It worked. Most of the media bought the narrative. Fans applauded the professionalism of all parties involved. No one questioned why a franchise supposedly chasing a title would voluntarily part ways with a player still capable of impacting games. The true strategy behind the curtain is always more complex, colder, more calculated, and it is almost never amicable. It's business. It's the modern NBA. It's the game within the game. That is the truth the headlines don't show. That is the reality official statements hide beneath layers of corporate language and smiles for the cameras. In the NBA, every move has multiple layers. Every trade hides parallel agendas. Every amicable agreement masks difficult decisions made behind closed doors. The Clippers did what they believed was necessary for their future. Harden got his chance to chase a title. Garland gained an opportunity in a bigger market. Everyone wins on the surface, but the real victory belongs to those who understand the game in its entirety, to those who aren't fooled by convenient narratives, to those who question things when they seem too good to be true. Because in the end, the NBA is a multi-billion-dollar business, and in that game, friendship is just another word for well-executed strategy.
Perfect.